infinite loop there. Fantastic. Okie dokie. Brilliant. Now that we're live, welcome everyone. Thank you for joining me today on Twitch. Oh, I've got an echo. Sorry about that. Still just trying to get used to and get back in the flow of things with Twitch and streaming, because I haven't done much of it in a while. So it's good to be back. It's good to be talking to all the people that are checking this out, and it's great to be here. If you do want to chat, please do put in a message. I'll respond to it. Hello, Rabbit Hole. Thank you for joining me on this one, mate. It's good to have you here with it. And this one's going to be slightly different as well, as some people have been asking me to talk about level design in terms of me building stuff, and they want to watch and see that. I will say this: me building a level is not different to anyone else building a level, so it's quite a different one experience-wise for me to do this one. I'm sorry, I just want to move this one off screen so it's not bothering anything there with it. So it's good to see, like I say, people here, and it's nice to have you all. And as I say, with this one, I'm going to be doing a little breakdown of my level. For those of you who don't know, basically I've set myself a small challenge. So, buddy, J. Daniel Ergs, nice to have you here. So yes, one of the things that I'm going to be doing is I've set myself a task in which that I basically create a small art gallery, and that in this art gallery is made for a third-person combat. There isn't any other beats other than just for combat. I just want to make a small level, something I can do in a couple of weeks in my spare time to just help me improve my skills. So this is the main purpose of the task. So for those of you who don't know or haven't seen what I've done already, I'll be breaking a few things down on this. So the first one is, and I guess I'll bring up on screen as well, is that the 2D map is an important one. So hold on, let me bring this up so we can all see this as well. There we go. Also, if there is anything that you hear in terms of like audio is a bit off or anything, just drop me a message so I can address it. That way, we know what's going on. But basically, I went and did a few different maps, 2D sketches. I did my reference gathering as well. I guess I'll try to pull up them for people as well. Where did I do it? Did I put it in here? Yeah. Okay. Research. This is where it gets all... I look really unprofessional on this one now. Aha. Okay. So now I gathered a few different references to this, as you can see here. Went through, see what we could see, and first started off by doing this. Now, the reason I'm doing an art gallery is I actually asked for one of the alumni, who may remember from the episode, Simon Cooper, or also known as Scoop. He set me the location for it and set me the metrics and dimensions of how this level should be. So my first thing that I did and went through and gathered all the references, because it's super important. I cannot stress enough how important it is to grab references. I think it's a real big help for it. And I was asked on Twitter recently about, should I gather references, should I do 2D drawings, or should I just wing it? Don't wing it. Do not wing it. I know some people replied with saying that they wing it, and that's fine. I'm not saying let me rephrase this. Winging it has its place in certain areas, but gathering your references as we go through here, you can see where I actually got some of my inspirations for my shape of my map, which we'll go through a little bit later. And you can see there's some cool roofs up the top here. Oops, I just got off screen. Up the top here. That will help with me creating the mood as we go through. And seeing benches, this is what you can expect. This is how we have windows up top. Notice how the roof drops down here by a meter, and also these pillars as well. Kind of helping me get a gist for it. Separating rooms as such. We have pipes above, lights as well. So all of these, oh yeah, I love this one. This one is definitely going to make it within the game. So I think that's a really interesting one. So yes, so do gather your references, try go through as much as you can because I think it's super important. And as you see, I've gathered I'm stumbling on my words, floor plans for this as well. And with that, again, it can help you understand what space is. We have a few different types of stuff in terms of what galleries are on display here. I've done that one wrong. Yep, so you can see again, this is great because one of the things that me and a friend of mine were talking about is one of the things we'll do later is we're going to actually add the cover here. And that way you can see the enemy's feet underneath there. So players are going to be aware that their enemies are here. Again, different references. So once I gathered that, I then moved on to actually creating the maps. There is a few of them out there in terms of on my Twitter. If you haven't seen, you'll see there's a few different iterations and different designs that I've done. But this is the one that I'm overall happy with, and this is the one I'm going to move forward with. So as you can see, it's a bit more off the grid with some changing of the actual space and diagonaling as well. We've got rooms separated, but we also have some micro elevations, so the player will actually go down into the space here. There'll be stairs up as well into an office. We might change that. Gift shop in here, a different kind of entrance, and some bathrooms here. This here be the desk of someone working there. So that's kind of the plan of it thus far, and you can see what we're going with. Now, what I did after that, and if I just quickly show you all before we get into the actual building of it, let's just save this. Okay. So before I go on, actually, let's just talk about what I'm going to be using. I've taken in the third person, where is it? Let's get this one right, shall we? The third person cover shooter. Now this is a asset set that you can buy on the Unity Asset Store. I got it on sale, and so it helps with me bringing cover automatically, basic AI, a character that we can use with the camera as well, and all of that in there. And then to actually help me block out, I'm using, which I've mentioned before, a pack called Blockout, which is made by a friend of mine, Bruce. So shout out to him and his team that made this great tool set. So that's what I have, been using and will use for future with this. After this, I've then set up this gym here. As you can see, architecture. I've actually then gone and made the prefabs that I'm going to be using to help me make and block out my space. What I've done is I've taken these walls here, and then what you can see with them, these little boxes, the darker grey, is these are then cover props, which I've then added to pieces. So that way players can go take cover automatically on them to just display when it plays for me. So now the player will automatically take cover here on this. So that's what I've been doing. So that way I don't need to worry. I can use these prefabs automatically and start grabbing them and dropping them into the world. Now, what's interesting about with this this set here is if I put my gun away, notice how the camera changes. See, zooms out, zooms in. Now, this is actually a big deal when I've been making these props here, because as you can see, I've tried to make sure that it's clear where everything meets those lines, so that way it's always clear to see the meter gaps, because I've set myself a cover buffer, which is the term used by M. Sanchez. I'm sure it's by many others. I called it cover spacing back when I was at Ubisoft, but whichever term you want to use, basically this means the distance, sorry, I'm coming in here, between cover. Am I moving in or out of frame? Sorry, it's opposite. So yes, in and out to between cover. The reason you want this is so one, the player can move through spaces easily. Also, it doesn't become cluttered, etc. And the way that I've done it is the minimum is 2 meters. That way, I've got 3 meters set up here, but that's just for display reasons. But 2 meters, so that way we know there has to be a minimum of 2 meters now. And with that as well, the camera, this has also changed how I've had to scale the actual block out prefabs themselves to use them. Because if you look, I said camera changes, but one of the things I don't want is that camera clipping through the door. So you can see it just comes in through here, but it doesn't get hit by what's above it. Now, just to give you an example of what it looked like normally. Walls, bends, and doors. So if we just grab... So this is their traditional single piece one. And now when we come in, let's just go back to the gun view. See how my camera is just going to clip through there and cause a little bit of distraction. Now it is set to the height of your character. However, the thing is, when in a third person, you're going to have to make it bigger because the camera, as we can see here, is further out and is slightly higher than the player as well. So if we even put our gun away, you know what I mean? And then it's giving us this weird angle of it being crowded under, so we have the top. So what I've decided to do from there was I decided to scale things up. Now it was tough because, as you can see, if I try running here, it's going to clip here. So I'm going to always try and make sure my default view now is with the gun here. So that's how I've made and scaled up my prefabs to help with this. Again, if you have questions about this, please do ask them. I will answer them. But, you know, I don't want it to be just me talking. If you have questions, do please ask. Yes, so that's why I've done this. Now, I was going to scale it a bit wider, but the reason I didn't want to do that is because everything looks nicely on this grid, and I can understand automatically because of how I have... Let me just get back into this. There we go. As you can see of how I've done here, this is directly on. So one cube means 1 meter. So it is very important for me to make sure that everything aligns with this. So I didn't want to stretch things too much because otherwise it was going to cause problems for me. So I've separated things here. So I've got my architecture pieces, different doors, single with 2 meters, single with just 1 meter, double doors, walls all different shapes and sizes I can use. These are my window pieces, excuse me. And then we have here is my cover objects as well. I made them yellow so that just way they just stand out for it. I've got different shapes and sizes here, you know, so that way players can take different cover. So this way you can now see how I've got everything set up before I actually go off and move on to my actual block out. As you can see, there's quite a few different steps before we even get to the block out, and I know I've seen people come in and go already out of the stream. Don't ignore those things. Honestly, if you want to be a better level designer, and this is part of the reason that I've even set this challenge for myself, is the fact that there's still details that I need to focus on and make sure that I get right. So I've taken it right from the very start, reference gathering, then to my 2D maps, and then obviously setting up the scale and also the, well, have I something forgotten about? The scale and metrics for this as well. Then after that, I've gone and made what you can see here, the prefabs that allow me to make my level, and now I'm actually going to block it out. Now the different stages that we're going to go through, because I'm not going to do the full block out in all of this because it's my weekend and I do want to enjoy it. But now that we have, say for example, the prefabs built. So I'm just using this little handy thing to help me keep track of what's next. The next thing that we're going to do and move on to is actually that of the structure. So this there is going to be me firstly just building the outline here. So when that is built, I'm actually going to run through play, make sure that it actually feels big enough. Does it need to be altered? Is there enough space for the player? That sort of sense for it is what we're going to get, because everything, and this is what I'm going back to when people are saying about like, oh, do I have to do this? Because if I do this, I lose creativity. That's not true. That is not remotely true. One of the things that we can do with this is that this is a guideline. This is a blueprint. This here is not something we have to follow completely, due to when we get into 3D, it might not work correctly. So that way, as you can see, we're going to use it as a guideline, but don't be afraid to change it and move it around. Question from New Master, he asks, thank you for the stream. No, thank you for joining me, buddy. So you're saying the camera angle and distance should be determined and fixed before you create? Yes, for sure. It's part of what Ubisoft and also others refer to as the 3 C's, which is your camera, controls, and character. To get all them, that is what you first need. That is the core pillars before you actually move forward and then go on to make things around it. You need to understand that. Otherwise, you're going to have to be tweaking and changing things on the fly. So you need to make sure that the core concepts, the core knowledge of this is down. Now, the character, we don't need to really worry too much about. For now, he's just a temporary placeholder cowboy that we have here. There are other models to switch him out for. I might switch him out for something later. I don't know. I still am getting used to this kit myself. And then the controls are, right mouse to aim, left to fire. That zooms in. WASD. And jump as well. So we can see he jumps roughly around 1 meter or so, 1.5 meters. So when you're getting these stuff down, that really helps you plan your next step, because then we know, like I said, to get those doors right so I don't get any clipping, any issues like that, is important to plan that. So do plan out, again, your 3 C's. 3C. That was super lame. I'm sorry. That's super lame. But you can plan out your 3 C's, and then you can start building from there. Ashura, hey buddy, thank you for joining me today, mate. So yeah, do plan out that, and that is important, because otherwise you're just plopping stuff down, and the spacing might not feel right. That's why I'm saying, although I have this ready for me to use, and I have the idea of the cover buffing, and my main thing is that main paths will be 4 meters wide, kind of side paths will be about 2 meters wide. That might have to change when I get in and feel how the camera changes the field of view, how we move, do we bump into things in those spaces, does combat work? If the area is 2 meters, sorry, let's only give you the V's. If the area is 2 meters, then I actually won't put any combat in there, because the smallest cover is 1-for-1. Braxy, that's a commitment there, matey. Braxy is on holiday, and he's been the one that has been wanting this stream to happen the most. So here it is, my friend Brad. Enjoy your time away. Thank you for coming in and saying hey with that little doggo face. But yeah, knowing that it's 2 meters and that 1 meter cube is my smallest cover, I probably actually won't be able to put combat in there, because players tight squeeze enemies and cover in there, I don't think it's going to work. So that's why, again, it's important to get your 3 C's down first in order to do that. But again, when you're planning stuff out, this is just a plan. This is not the be-all or end-all. If someone showed me their 2D map, and then they showed me their actual, in-game map, and then it's, different. I don't mean completely different. It's completely different. Something's gone wrong. But if it's different in terms of, okay, well, I've actually had to reduce the amount of cover, or I've had to pull out this space or add a different room for X reasons Y, that's fine. This is, again, just a plan in an ideal world with that one. So the next we'll be blocking out is the structure. After that, we will then add basic cover. Add cover. Okay. With this as well, I want to talk about the cover a little bit too. I'm sure some of you watching wanted me to just get on with it, but all of these things that I'm saying will help and are important. Once I've built out the structure, which is just the walls, the divides in here, I will then start adding the cover that you see here. What's important is that this cover, as you can see, is just blocks. They're just geometrics, they are just items to fill the room. Now, it depends on where you're working. Sometimes, as long as you have reference pictures, as we showed earlier, then the artist won't mind, because they have creative freedom to kind of visualize what these blocks are. However, other places have it where they actually want you to help have your blockouts tell the story of what the environment is. So when someone is playing, they know already what that space is. So what will eventually happen is I will take these blocks, mash them together, and make something like a desk, shelves, all of these like small kind of statues or paintings. You know, I'll grab like a model, put it on top of one of these meter blocks, that will become a statue, and this will become the plinth that it stands on. But what I'm going to do right now instead is just get a feel of the space. So what I'd recommend is when after you're doing this is then give a feel of the space itself. But first we need to get the big ideas sorted. So by blocking all this stuff out, placing blocks everywhere, you'll then get a sense of the space and understand what's available, what's not, and then we can start kind of, for lack of a better word, artifying, because it's not real art, it's just my LD blockout art. But we can then start to do that and push things in a certain direction, and that way we can help define, well, what is in gallery 1, what is in gallery 2, where is the desk, what does the gift shop look like, and that way when people come to play the level, they'll know the space automatically. You know, this is a bathroom, etc. So that will come after adding the cover, so we know how the cover feels and roughly know what spaces we need to change around a little bit as well. And then we will make cover LD art prefabs. So these will follow similar rules that I have to the actual cover here, but they'll just look much more readable and understandable from what they are as well. Okay, does anyone have any more questions about all the stuff that I've spoken about there? Was I too fast in how I spoke? Was there anything that you want to know? Yes, there will be one saved on this channel, on the YouTube channel, as well as the Twitch as well. So don't worry, it's streaming on both platforms, so that's cool for it, that one. Alright, Ashura, it's pretty clear. Just want to double check. As I was saying, please do ask questions, team. That's what's about, a conversation between me and you. I think we'll start building stuff out with this as well and just start going with it. So yeah, you can see what I'm doing. We'll just run around here. What's everyone been playing? I just finished Kingdom Hearts 3. Am I right to talk about the end and everything? Has people played it, or is there going to be an issue with spoilers here? Just give me a shout before I start talking about it. Also, you'll notice my walls here are slightly bigger, so I did worry if that was going to be a problem, but you can see he still rises over, and that was one thing I had to keep in mind. Now, he can't jump down, as you see. We get some bit of issues with it, but that's okay, because we still got long lines here. We're still able to aim roughly here without any camera interference. And then, as you can see, take cover. Whoop. And let's go here, and boom. Exactly. So, you can see all that stuff there. Okay, Gilgamesh, you ask, when you make a map for a game like this, do you think about possible encounters when making your initial draft? By encounters, if you mean where the enemies will go, yes, I do. I haven't plotted it down on my map, but if we can just... if I just quickly do just some basic work to help show you, my friend. But if we get here... Okay. So I know that the player is... Let's customize, make this one line. Okay. So I know that the player is going to come through here. So the first cover they're going to have available to them will be this one here. And what I want really is to have basically an enemy with his back to the player. So the player knows that there is danger, but they're not in danger. And then what they'll do is they'll walk, maybe they look at something here, and then turn inside. So what this is, and one of the big things that I think about... Oh, sorry. Falcon, no, I did not make this cover system. Earlier I mentioned that I'm using 2 packs. I am using the third-person cover pack, which costs, I can't remember, I think I got it for about £20, but I know it ranges from 60 to 80, depends on the sale and stuff. I'm using the blockout kit to help me with my pieces. But basically from here, what we're doing is, with the fact he's looking there, for those aggressive players, it gives them a chance to take him out, so they know that there's a threat, but he's not looking in their direction, and that way players don't have to worry. One of the big things I always try think about is one of the first enemies the players can encounter should always be the dumb one. In referring to, they've always got their back to the player and they're either static or moving away from the player. So there is the feel of the threat, but never the ultimate result unless the player does something absolutely stupid. So if players wanted to, they could sneak up on him. Now there isn't any stealth system in terms of choking out or melee combat in this game, in my setup, but if there was, my plan is you'd be able to take him out, and then also if you don't, you can see that he then leads you to this other room. So players now know that there is a space here on the right. From here, they then have more kind of free space to explore up and down this corridor and decide if they want to go through this path or follow him through. They will both then lead you to the main corridor here. Now this is where I imagine we'll have ranging from 1 to 2 enemies. And what we might do is, forgive my ugly circles, but you might have 2 talking here, and then one might go off into the other space, so go into here, while the other one might just patrol around here, you know, something simple like that. And then the players can either take him out, or they can just try sneak past and make their way up through here into this kind of elevated safe space. Now I am not decided yet, I need to see what this space looks like, but what we could do again is just have a very simple enemy that's just looking away from the player, which is an easy takedown, and then there's a loot room reward for getting up to here. I don't know why my voice broke, but then we'll have 2, maybe 3 enemies left here, which will then lead into kind of a gunfight here, and that way we have some really cool. I don't know if I'm going to lower this area again or raise, I don't know yet. I just need to figure out that I need to make sure that these spaces may be separated by cover, but we need to do something that again makes them feel that they are separate spaces. If you saw one of my latest tweets, I spoke about in Deus Ex, there's a really nice scene where they do have this open room, but how they divide it into separate rooms without segregating them with walls. Separating. Then what we can do instead is do this by dropping down, as well as adding pillars and other kind of things like that. So that's what I'm going to go with for it here. So yes, I do think of these and try keep them in mind. I think it's important too, you know, plan it around, and that's how it is for me. So I hope that answers your question, Gilgamesh, my friend. Okay, let's minimize all that stuff again. And yeah, the cover system comes from this here. I don't know if you can see that one. Let me just bring up Asset Store. If we just type in snaps. Oh, does that snap things to it? Because the grid system here isn't great in Unity. If we do... There we go. It is this one here. This is the one that has the cover slots for it. And you see, you got different range of characters. They give you a whole different scenes that you can learn from. So that Falcon is where you can actually pick it up yourself. Now it's 67 euros. It does go down in sales, so it depends how much that you want it right now. So it gives you a lot, and that's what again I'm using for this. For this one, to shout out to them for making a really cool product, and I'm glad that answered your question, Gilgamesh. Is there any more questions that we have? I'm going to start just blocking things out. I'm also going to start talking about, where have I put everything? There we go, thank you. Art gallery level, yeah, I don't need to save that because I was just messing around and showing you stuff. Okay. There we go. Okay. So I'm going to be talking a bit about Kingdom Hearts 3 because I've just played it and I've just completed it, so spoilers ahead if you don't want any. And a quick thing to do, which I always think is important, is make sure, because in a lot of other editors I've used, they have different folders or layers, like in Photoshop, where you can put that stuff and then select them. Unity doesn't, unless you make like your own empty game object. So do try and make sure you do this. So I'm going to create an empty object, call this one art underscore gallery. So this is now going to have everything within inside it. And let's create another one. Let's call this one floors. Do make sure it's at 0, 0, because you'll see in a second when I start placing some of my prefabs, I didn't put them at 0, 0, and you'll see how that causes an issue there. So floors here. I've also changed the color of the floors. With the cool thing with the blackout is you can change them to whatever you want it to be. I have gone for gray just because it helps keep them readable, and also the floor like isn't the most important in terms of you want the contrast of like your player to have instant readability, so we can have like cover and enemies, all of that. Now I have made my floors gray, I've made my covers yellow. I might change them as we go throughout, but the reason that this is important is also when you're making other levels, like maybe you want water in your level, then make the floor blue. Make if there's grass or dirt, make them brown or green. So make sure that you have that, so it helps players understand where they are. So for me, it's important to make sure this is grey because it is important to see the floor, but it's not the most important element for it. Okay, so what we've got from here is the opening corridor is only going to be 4 meters wide. This is what we have here. So let's drag in our floor here and to make sure that now anything we put in the floors will now be movable. And we'll create another, we'll call this one walls, and we'll set that to 0 as well. Now this is not the sexy part of design, but it is an important part, so please do not skip anything with that team. Alright, so this is only going to be, for the first corridor, is going to be 4 meters wide, and then this is going to be 16 meters long. So we're just going to make that one there. But yeah, anyone got any questions or anything, please do ask. So I finished Kingdom Hearts 3, and do you know what? I honestly did enjoy that. Also, a good thing that you should have with it as well, snap settings, is this little nifty tool here. So this can help you if you hold down control while you're dragging things around. You're able to actually, you know, snap things around. So for example, we can now snap things 1 meter across because there's no snapping to the actual meshes themselves. So it is important that you've got that there. So we're just gonna use everything for a 1 meter for now. I will be changing that as I go through. All time Emma. Kingdom Hearts is so good, but did you ever find yourself lost in the environments or at least turned around? Yes, I did. Oh, with V you can snap verts. Thank you very much, mate. I didn't know that one. Good to know. I did find myself getting lost, especially in the Frozen world. I think some of the levels are really cool because one of the great things about it was the mechanics per level. So, you know, in the Toy Story world, you got to pilot 4, 8, 12, 16. Is that all that one was? Well, yeah, I might have to make things slightly bigger around here. Let's just get our character in as well, just so we can start running around. I loved how there was so many different mechanics per level. Like I said, with that one there, in the Pirates of the Caribbean, you got to sail your ship. I will say though, like, now that I've completed it and everything, I am kind of sad that it's over. I'm sad that it's, because, you know, I played this game when I was like 13, 14, and then played the ones as, you know, I grew up to now where I'm 27 years of age. And so to see, you know, these characters kind of change and go through things was nice, and hopefully we don't have to wait 10 years for the next game. I do think they are great games overall. You know, this one I agree with its reviews in terms of it's an 8 out of 10. So, you know, I think you're right. Nostalgia does play a role. I will say there's things I definitely don't like with number 3, for sure. But I think when the ending came, and that's when nostalgia hit. That I'd wait 10 years to see these characters again, and then, you know, it took me a while to complete it. I sank nearly 40 hours into that game overall. I know what's gone wrong. So what you got to see is I got 2 cameras in the scene, so that's why that one wasn't working. Let's save the scene. So I think it has a bigger connection if you have played the franchise. What is going on, team? I know I've done wrong. Hold on. Yeah, so if you've played the franchise, then I think that's going to have a bigger one for you, you know. And does this have third person target? So we grab that cowboy here. And let's try that again. Okay. Okay, we might need to make this a little bit bigger. Okay, but let's not focus on that right now. Okay, 4, 8, 12, 16. Okay, and with that one. So when you're trying to block out, so J Daniel X asks, so when you're trying to block out a level and a mech doesn't work the way it should. By mech, if you're referring to mechanic, I believe, with that one. Yeah, fix the mechanic, because if you're trying to build around a broken mechanic, then, or like a made-believe mechanic, it's going to be really hard. Like, in theory, the best way to develop something is, you know, have the mechanics down because you have your list, and then you can start building levels correctly around to support those mechanics. That is the ideal way of how it should be done. Now, as for, you know, things do happen, etc., to change it, so it's a tough one to get right, but I do recommend that you do your mechanics first. And Ashuro, yeah, mate, like, you do get attached to these characters. I think that's one important thing. 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. All right, cool. 4 and then 7 down. So it is 4, and then I need a 3 for this one. I think it's just one of those things, isn't it, where you start to be like, oh, this is a cool. Yep. Put you back into your floor part here. It is an important one. Thank you so much for the V tool there. Honestly, it's helped me just there. 7 there. Yeah, so I think it's I'll put these into the floors. Don't forget that one, Max, before things get messy. Yeah, I think nostalgia did play with the ending with me, that knowing I won't get a chance to, for example, see these characters again and what have you, is or maybe, you know, it's going to be a long time before I see them. And yeah, you know, it's one of those ones, you know. So what, Jamie, what are you Daniel should say, what are you referring to with that second question? Not your code, and you're 100% not sure what the problem is. So you meaning like you're stuck in a mechanic? Do you just go on and build your level? Is that your question there, mate? Sure, it says, I think yes, because we work through iteration. If you don't iterate with correct things, yeah, exactly. You basically want to save the constant work that you could give yourself with working with something that's not correct, and that's a problem. And you know, it just means more work later, and that's never ever what you want with that team. So now we want to add some stairs to this now. Okay. It's a shame, like, in other editors as well, like, if you would say, for example, double click this, it would activate it, and then everything you drag in would drop into that. If there is a way for people that know that, please do let me know. I don't know everything. I'm actually... Have I got everything? No, you need to be in the floor as well. Oh, cool. Lord of the Rings project there, mate. That's a nice one there. I do love Lord of the Rings. One of my favourite movies of all time. Let's see. So this is going to be quite a small... We need to make things a little bit bigger if we've got an enemy in here. Okay. This is what I'm talking about when you're... This is what I'm saying when that you have something on paper. It doesn't mean it's going to work when we have it here. I'm already starting to be like, I may need to extend things out by another 4 meters or so. I may need to make this slightly longer with it. But I'm just going to build the floor plan just for now and then change it and see what we go with. Okay. Stairs. I only need... Is that even stairs? Nope. Okay, that was more like it. We need to just change the shader on this. So that way... is that... There we go. Okay, coolio. And let's just rotate this around. Dabby-dozy. And let's just change this to 0.1. And 0.5. There we go. So that way we can get a sense of it. And how far was that one? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So put that 6 away. What we should probably do actually. One of the things I noticed just there compared to what my map is if, for example, we have walls along here and then we turn and we go straight into stairs, that actually would not be a good case and would break some sort of believability. The reason for this is when the stairs, you normally have probably, I'd say even 2 meters, but let's just say 1 for now, 1 to 3 meters where the person can see the stairs, so then they don't just turn and fall down the stairs. So it's great to have a little buffer between that. So I've just seen that case here, so I'm going to add that now. But again, that's all just come from me experimenting there, you know. So Daniel asked the next question. I have this rock climbing system I bought with the UE market and it's not working 100%. I still need it for my Lord of the Rings project to work on. So this is a really tough one here when you're using packages. I know because I'm doing similar for some of my projects. They never fully work out the box how you want them to. what I suggest is either contacting the people who've made to try help you, but you should be trying to make sure you investigate how it works. Now, it depends how far you're trying to take this. If this is a personal project, then maybe you don't need to make it work like super smoothly, but you can still have the fact that they get up and they move around. It may not look the best, but that's okay as well. And so I'd recommend trying to get work as much as possible, but you know, if it's for a personal project, you're okay to get with it. If it's something you're trying to sell to people, then you need to make sure that it works. But yes, try get them to work to a sustainable state. Emma, my question for you then is, how did you feel after the ending of Kingdom Hearts? Did it hit you how you thought it hit you? Did it make you sad in a different way? You know, these sort of things here. Okay. We need to put the stairs in the floor for sure. Oh, okay. That's very interesting. I can imagine you were lost. It's quite a... it kind of got a bit crazy even for my liking with, for example, they had time travel in one of them and they referenced that. So yeah, I can imagine you getting a little bit lost with that one. But I guess if you've never played anyone, like, did the ending resonate with you when there was I'm going to give spoilers. So spoiler alert, if you want to leave for the next like 2 minutes, please do. But when the ending happens and we see Sora, again, I'm about to give it away in 3, 2, 1. When we see Sora vanishes, did that like resonate with you? Yeah, I can imagine for a new player as well. Okay. Yeah, I'm definitely gonna need to pull this back and move this around a little bit more, because as you can see that I've got unlike my floor plan, which just has, we get to here and then we just head downstairs. Could it work because they're smaller? Because I only tend to go down by this much. Whoop. I'm definitely slipping. But you can see how, because I have this meter buffer now, that if I add stairs to you here, then they're almost going to clip and intersect with there. Ooh, let's try something here then. Let's just try moving you out here. And then Control D. And we're going to bring you down. That's a whole meter. 0.5 meters. That's only half a meter that brings you down. Okay, that is the correct height that we do want though. So let's just try adding this around here. No, oops, Control Z. It doesn't feel so bad, but I haven't got walls here, so I think we need to add a wall and we come straight down, and that's just way too close. Yeah, okay, we're gonna pull that back by another 4 meters because that is just too close for my liking. Let's get... I wouldn't even mind if that went even just a little bit further. This is gonna have some knock-on effects. Okay. That feels, or look, should we say? Let's see how it feels actually. That feels better. Maybe we can bring it in by a meter or two. Let's just add and then we'll see where we go with that one. Sorry, I've lost focus of the track here. That was still impactful. I was able to connect with Sora as a character by just playing 3 alone. that's very interesting. So it's good there that you know. So no, I enjoyed that one. I'm glad you got it. Like you still had a connection because, like I said, I grew up for over 10 years with these games, so it's So I think it's good that that one's there, and I can imagine you definitely lost for sure. I was, because some of the characters are referenced in the mobile games as well, which I played a little of. I didn't play them all, but yeah. So I imagine that was that one there. Okay, Ashuro, you said, I was about to say, I said this, Max, I really enjoyed the Undertale podcast. I'm really loving that game. And I'm really in love with that game. And to hear that someone had a great time is awesome. Ashuro, mate, that was one of the most impactful games I've played in a long time. Like, compared to Kingdom Hearts, which, is impactful, but very much in a different way in terms of, as I said, it comes from more knowing all these characters, but the character depth in Undertale, I don't know if that can be beaten in some sense. You know what I mean? Like, there is just so much to know about this character, so much to find out, so much to love. I think that is one of the most amazing things about Undertale and how you interact with the characters. So I'm glad that you enjoyed that one, mate. I've got part 2 to come out in a few weeks as well that I'll be doing with that one. If there's any topic you want me to cover on the podcast, please message and let me know. Dennis says, okay, they're good then for a simple project for a company and a portfolio. So, yeah, as long as the mechanic works, Daniel, we can see it, but maybe the guy just goes up vertically or like T-poses up, and I don't know why I'm reenacting that. That is fine. The reason it's fine is because it's not your job as a level designer to make that work. It's to provide it, but you've got something that still shows that this is how the intent goes, and they can still play it. And plus, bugs are funny. Every game or level goes through them, so just kind of have a laugh with it, mate. Honestly, that one's cool. Falcone goes, how do you guys feel about the combat system? The game that seems to encourage spamming the Disney attractions. So the combat system here, mate, I say with this one, is that it is and if you've played the other games, they tried to merge all of their combat systems into one. Like, they have the forms still, but they don't feel as impactful as 2. I need to switch over to center. Fantastic. So they're trying to. I felt they were trying to shoehorn every combat system from the franchise into. No, that's not the one. Into the final game, because you have the forms from number 2. You then have the kind of gravity kind of movement from Dream Drop's Distance. So I felt there was too much, and then, like you said, they then have the ride attractions. Now, you can't take anything away. Oh, that's in the Z, that's why. You cannot take anything away from their creative minds, like how they did attractions into an actual attack. I think that is something that is super duper awesome, like creatively. But as I said, I just felt like the combat system compared to 2 or Dream Drop Distance never found its own, because it was trying to put everything together, and the levels didn't always support that, especially with the gravity kind of movement. You didn't always have walls to bounce from. You then didn't have things to spin off. And a lot of the fights take up with the enemies floating around, which honestly I think was its worst and weakest part of the combat, because you don't get fly until right near the end of the game, like you do in all the Kingdom Hearts. And then it's harder because you have to lock on and then press your button and Sora will just kind of zip off into it. So I feel it never got its own footing, is all I'll say on that one there, matey. So Daniel asks, when going in engine, how do you know they're the right measurements that you did in paper? So in terms of like quote for quote, I don't always, but I know that this is why it's important to have grids on your blockouts. This here is a meter, because most engines will work with meters. And that's why I tried to do a meter per square on my paper design as well. So do use grid paper when you're creating 2D maps. So I know that roughly a scale on that paper would roughly lead to this. But what's hard compared to paper when you're blocking out is the field of view changes things. How fast your character moves changes things. Like how many meters can they cover per second, like walking, sprinting, running. So that does change a lot. So that's why when we look at this now, that now looks like a, long enough corridor compared to when it was out here. That's not the vibe that I was going for with this. I wanted it, if I mentioned earlier, sugar, I shouldn't have done that one. If I want this guy to be here, I want him close so you can see, the player can see him, they get a very clear view and understand that he's close. But then as he moves further away, it gets, what you don't know. I'm trying to explain it. You get that sense of distance now of, okay, there's a room further down here, but there's a room close to me. So that's where it comes from with that one. Emma says, Organization 13 was very hard to follow. I found it hard to distinguish between each of the enemies. That I agree with as well. How much movement is involved in the combat kept turning me around tangled frozen areas, yeah. Ninja Dan goes, when going to an engine... Oh, I've already answered that one, sorry. Emma, I stopped using the attractions as it did make the gameplay a bit too easy. So Falcon agrees with Emma. Water Malone, great to have you here. And yeah, all is good, mate, and I hope everything's good on your end. Thank you very much for the comment on the paper design, mate. Hopefully the level's better. I tell you what as well, it's also nerve-wracking trying to make a level when people are watching you. It is not always the funnest thing, I've not got that one set correctly. As you would imagine, because of the fact that no one likes to have people looking over their shoulder as they're working. But here we are doing such a thing. And also I'm trying to make sure that I don't get lost in the conversations as well and only leave you with like half a thing made. So we want 1, 2, 3 distance before the next thing. Okay. I'm just like, every time you see me looking and counting, it's just because I'm actually looking over at my paper design that I have with me and just making sure that I'm counting out spaces with how I want things to be there. Falcone says, I guess to add on to Ninja's question, how do you know the scale measurement of your 2D drone map? By know the measurements, what you're referring to there is what I'm saying, mate. Because I have... That square can be anything, that could be one glowback, that's what I'm saying, like, who knows? But because we have this scale here, I'm saying it's a meter because I know through, working on different games that everything roughly is done and measured through meters. So that way it's easy for me to know that if this is 1 meter on one of these cubes, then it translates to one of, in my mind, then that means this is a meter here. So I have, so I'll count out the squares, which I've got on, which you'll hear me do throughout the stream. But I don't know if you can see. I actually have, it says like 16 meters here. So I've just counted out 16 of those squares and just made it go, that must be 16 squares here. And that's why I said it doesn't feel right when I'm making that adjustment there from it there. You know what I mean, mate? So, Water Malone, what is a snapping tool? A snapping tool is basically like each, as Ashura mentioned, V is the snapping tool, but basically there's a couple of things. So when you select this and we press V, you see that each of these vertices has a point, and then this can snap. If we drag this, you see how that snaps to the other top vertices. But when we go control that, being that like each vertex has a snap to it, allowing things to snap together so you don't get overlapping things on a line, and that messes with your metrics later. So that really helps with things. So using the grid that we have with control to move correctly to a grid, and also a snapping tool as well. You can see the different vertices. But yes, those things help to make sure that everything's kind of on the grid, the planes are correct, so when an artist will come take it over, it's easy for them to swap things out, but also it's a great thing for us to use to make sure that, you know, we've got correct spacing, that this here is a meter, that sort of thing from there. It's not a particular snapping tool, it's just in Unity. Shuro shared this with me, that you hold down V and it does it. And then if you want to change the settings, all you have to do is, I think it was in Edit, Snap Settings, and it'll bring up this little tab here to use for that one. Emma goes, I had an artist watch me over my shoulder on Monday at work, and I kept hitting all the wrong key inputs. Yeah, that was one of my things, and that's actually why I kind of set up a few things prior to the stream, so that way I didn't feel as embarrassing as I'm sure it'll go through. I think the other thing as well, like when you're doing this, and because I've been in the industry a few times, people are like sizing you up. You know, I get that, you know, people want to work in the industry and be like, well, how good am I? And then if they watch me do things, they try to size me up and be like, oh, well, I can do it faster, I can do it better, and like I can be in his position, which is great. If that's what you feel, go get it, go do it and go beat me, because the whole thing I set up for this thing is for people to, you know, be better than me. I'm sharing my flaws, sharing my lessons so that people can be far better level designers than what I can be, you know, on the industry to get better. So yeah, so it's also one of those things, you know, trolls as well is also another key thing for it. So yeah, not always the funnest thing, but it is fun to do this with you guys though. I think it's important to do it. Let's just go through that one for it. Also, the other thing is you never know is potentially, like, you know, people that you could meet later on can be judging you. It could cost, but job opportunities and stuff, which is always the thing you don't want. Okay. You know, I was going to put like stairs all around here, just because it looks nice, but then I'm like, in my head, I'm like, why, if you can only enter through this doorway and this doorway, there's no point in having stairs there, so we're just going to block that off and put some cover around that. I'm actually going to add the walls now, just to see how that feels when, sorry, I got a fly here. What we got? What I'm learning says, okay, I think that's going to be replaced with ProGrids at some stage. Have you tried either ProGrids or ProBuilder in the... Yes, I have tried ProBuilder, and I did a course using ProBuilder, which is great. I think it's a phenomenal tool, but the thing that I like with using something like this blockout toolkit is I have all the pieces that I can use everything's to scale, everything matches, and I don't have to spend time like messing around. Like, there's people that can use ProBuilder far better than me. It's something that I've used a little bit and I'm not a master at. Excuse me. But what we can do with that is it helps everything keep neat and tidy, and like I think it's good for just separation as well, that, you know, okay, I've now got all these floors, I can move them when it comes to it. We'll add walls and move them around, you know, compared to, like, I used to like and enjoy using BSP back when I used UDK3, but I do like that when you use stuff in different industries, it's like Lego. You get your little Lego pieces and you put it together, so that way everything's metrically correct and that you have everything that you need, you know. But if it's an organic space, I think those sort of tools are far more important and will really help with things there, you know what I mean? With comments like that, well, sure, isn't BSP just similar to ProBuilder? That's how I viewed it. Obviously not as big as ProBuilder. I haven't seen comments on things. I've had people and students come up to me, you know, and that's just how it is, you know. Look, when I say this is a very small and minuscule case. There's loads of amazing people wanting to do this, but there are people who want to, you know, who obviously want to be in that position, which is fine because I'm in a very fortunate position where are my prefabs? You know, that I get to do. We're going to use this one here. Now, do you remember what I was saying about making sure your point is set to 0, 0? You see how I put that in is miles away? Yeah, I've had stuff like that, but it's a small amount of people who've ever done anything silly like that. You know, like, I've been to conferences back when I was a student, and like some students would try outshine the developer on something that they noticed, and it's the wrong way to get attention, you know. So why are you not snapping? To that, interesting. Yeah, so yeah, like I said, it's a very small amount of people, but you know, that's not how you should get attention. Don't try to show off on that fact. Show your work, show your dedication, and show you're a nice person. You know, that's the most important part, is everyone wants to work with a nice person. No one wants to work with I'm not going to say it, but a bleep. So yeah, that's one of the things. Let's change that to 0. Oh, no, not that. 00. With it. Okay, that is correctly aligned. What am I doing? What am I doing? They're not in the wall category there, so be careful with that one. But yeah, what's everyone else playing? What's everyone else doing? I did enjoy the Rainbow Six Siege Cup. That was great. I did have fun watching that. I need to play more of it, if I'm being honest. Let's move this a couple meters down. We could probably move it one more. Yeah. So, what Malone says, yeah, I feel like it's weird. Some people are more nice to some than others in the industry. I've seen it happen with students where they're sort of shunned at events like GDC, but could just be nice to them. Give it 5 years, and they could have built a game they're hiring for. Yeah, I also think it's an important thing. Like, hopefully, industry professionals don't shun someone away from being because they're a student. That's never nice. I don't think people do. You know, I'm fortunate enough to meet very nice people that don't do that. But yeah, I hope that's not the case. Oh no. Didn't select the whole prefab. That's not what I wanted. Yeah, just, you know, just the key thing is just everyone be nice. You know, I know it sounds very hippie and stuff, but you know, there's people out there, and everyone's just trying to do the best that they can. So let's all just, you know, and I say everyone wants to work with someone nice, mate. See, if it's a personal project though, mate, like maybe you get the AI. You can buy AI from stuff like Unity. I don't know about Unreal. Maybe Unreal. But my point is more of, does that not align? No, that does not. Is even if you just made a level block out, that could be a good enough personal project that Falcon made. So maybe try something like that. All right, let's just place that and see how we look here. Aha, that feels nice already. Okay, so we've got that long range. Yeah. Does that just feel... I don't know if that just feels weird just turning straight into stairs, because that seems like a health and safety hazard in real life. Maybe we pull them out a meter. Let's just continue on a little bit, but that's something that I'm definitely now aware of and don't want to cause issues with. Do we have a wall piece that's single? There we go. Where'd you go? Okay. Just playing Crash Team Racing at the moment. How do you find the control system for that? Because like, I got my hands and I was like, what is going on? And I can't remember if it had it in the original, you know, the whole drifting thing. So I could be wrong with that one. Okay, we have a question from Ashuro. What is your way to go when you're stuck in design? What do you mean by what is my way to go when I'm stuck, mate? Is this like something to break me out the rut or something like that? Like, what are you talking about when you refer to that one, my friend? Said. Also, the great thing with having grids on, you can see if things are aligned or not. That's why. That one wasn't scaled correctly in my thing. Sorry. Yeah, I think Emma's got it spot on, is do look for feedback. Because sometimes, because you're so close in the process, you won't always notice, you know, what could essentially be the issue. So having someone look at it is a great way. Sometimes just taking some steps away from it is also good, because you know, sometimes when you're so close into it, you don't always see what's wrong. So I think, yeah, have some feedback on, just take some time away is also always a good shout on that one. So with it, change that back to a meter by everyone. Are you guys enjoying this stream, by the way? Like, I don't mean that as in just like our banter, but is this something that you enjoy watching me block stuff out? As I said, it was a request from Brad, who joined us earlier. Shout out to Brad when he actually gets a chance to see this. But yeah, I'm just curious because it wasn't anything I thought people would want to see, you know. So if it is, let me know with that for it. Daniel says yes, emphatically yes, super fast. I don't know if I bring this out. Just unselect you, sorry. Just by a meter. That could make that room just feel a little bit more spacious around there. with it. Yeah. I'm now like, oh no, I've got to flipping do more more of these. Nah, it's all good. Okay, let's go in and see what it's like again. I like that this has a bit more space when you come through. I need to put, where's that coming? A meter away from here. So let's see how that was when we add a door to it. Okay, awesome. With it. I was thinking about attending GDC next year to network, but as a person who's not gotten the first... I've never been to GDC, I'm afraid, Falcon, mate, so I have no idea. I'd hope not, but I don't... I said I've never been, so I can't say that's true or not, mate. I'd like to think it's not. But where are you living right now, Falcon? Are you based in the US? I hope not, because university is expensive, so I hope uni was a good thing for you, mate. Where are we going with this? Let's just change that all to 0.1. Yeah, no. Okay. Okay, cool. Let's just snuggle back to 1. I wish this was a drop down. I like how you can change it, but I wish you could have maybe like presets that you could use for it. So if we do that one here, we got a 2 wall in there for it. Android is just super helpful. I've heard when you register, it's better to say that you're an indie than a student to get crown. Oh wow, that's interesting. I didn't know that. Where did you hear that, Watermelon? You know, and you're in California. LA is a beautiful place. I've enjoyed my time there when I've been twice. Great place for it. Well, to help with that, is there any like smaller? Sorry, I have pictures above my computer and they're coming off the blue tack. Do you have like any smaller events, not just GDC, for this stuff, mate? From my little experience, I had the luck to meet super nice people in the industry, especially now, and I'm trying to get my first job. Okay. I'm going to just stick on some different music for me, guys. See how we like it. See. Yeah, okay, we'll go with that. Oh, okay. Well, maybe Ashuro, you and Falcon can kind of link up and, you know, try and find out more events, and maybe you two even going together. I mean, I'm presuming you're in the same area. That you can go together and like help each other out with that one as well. Because sometimes going with your friends is an even better one. A big thing that make sure you do is bring like, this isn't a correct tablet, but bring like a tablet or phone where you can show videos of your work as well. You know. Oh, you live in Europe? Never mind, Ashuro. There are some great ones around Europe, though. Yeah, GDC is one of the definitely more expensive ones. I mean, part of it is because it's in San Francisco, I believe. What am I looking for here? What have I been doing, guys? You don't need to go on floor. You need to go in wall here. And so... do make sure you keep things tidy, because again, when I select art gallery, I can now move the whole thing. So do make sure that you keep things tidy with it all. No, you're in Spain. We've got an LD I work with at where I work, and he is by far an incredible level designer from Spain. Name's Manuel, and he is fantastic and a truly nice person. I really enjoy working with him. Just a great guy overall. Boom. Okay, let's see how. If it crashed on me then I hadn't saved, that would have been stupid then. Yeah, oh man. I think, yeah. Well, yes, that is his last name. How I forgot is just super rude to Manuel. Yes, Manuel is one of the nicest people out there, you know. Yeah, it's super expensive, I can imagine, especially living there in California, you know. And LA is of all places. You know, I think that's a very cool one. But yeah, if you do want to make something small and quick, like I've got a guy in here because I'm just trying to take it a little bit further with my plans of blocking it out to have someone here. You guys, not saying you don't have to, but it's even fine just for you to have a quick block out. You don't even have to have someone running around if you didn't want to, you know. See how we hot snap to the cover automatically. So then that way we can come around here, have a peek. Cool. So, yeah, I think this room actually feels pretty nice for size. Let me come down. What I like about this one, my layout, is the loops here. Is that with, let's just end that. Here that we have loops already. So you got the loop inside it, but then we have the loops connecting all of these three spaces together, which is important for combat, making sure that you have loops, and that way that you won't run into a dead end and feel trapped and then get flanked. And if you're outnumbered, which you mostly are as a player, by having these loops, we can go through different spaces and constantly move around with this. But what else have we got? Glad you are enjoying the streams though, guys. Really do appreciate it. Hey Hyper, nice to have you here joining us today. How long has this stream been going on for? I must admit, I am getting pretty hungry. What's this, matey? Oh, oh yeah. Steve is got a lot of good knowledge. I really do enjoy what he has to say. Just a very nice guy, all in all. All right, close that back down. Yes, this helps lot. Okay, cool. But yeah, if you wanted to, you don't need to make it playable like I have. That does help because I can send it to someone to play, or I can call it the boy Manuel over for him. Manuel also, by the by, did give me feedback, and I do constantly go to him to feedback because he is great with feedback and makes me cry because he is a great level designer. Honestly, that's why I go to him, just to keep learning from him. Yes. So that one looks all fine here. Let's get this across here. What we want to do as well is right now I'm blocking stuff out, just solid walls, but I'm going to give a window either side to here. So that way players, when they come up, they also can see that there is an entrance down here as well. Yeah. How long have I been streaming for? Does it say? It doesn't say how long I've been streaming for. It would be nice to know, because I'm not gonna lie to you peeps, I'm getting kind of hungry and do want to have some food. You know, yeah. Oh man, I love my work, Ashuro. Like, I get to work with amazing people, and I've been very fortunate as well to go and see the world as well because of my work. You know, I'm living in a different country to where I'm from. I am... How has this happened? That one's not worked out. You know, I've been very fortunate enough to see the world. I get to talk to all of you really nice people as well. I think always makes things fun. And, you know... There we go. I get to talk about something that I love to do. As I do the podcast, I work on my personal stuff, as well as giving talks in level design. I'm very fortunate. It comes through hard work, but I'm in a position now where I work at a great studio. I get to do all this cool stuff with going to do stuff like around the world. Presenting the game at E3, been to it twice, which is a dream come true. I've gone to different conferences off my own accord through my different talks. The podcast is going overall very well. Yeah, there's a lot going on which I'm very just proud of and happy to be working with. How is that one? Working with some fantastic people and learning. Like, that's the thing that excites me the most, is the fact that I get to learn every day. I'm gonna need to change this up and make this the double door. Learning is the most important thing here, team. Like, I cannot stress that enough. That we have to double. Okay, how big are you? Oh, this is a big one. That you need to learn, like, that CGMA course. I personally think it's far better for someone who is trying to break into the industry or for a junior. And that's not putting down the course. The course is fantastic. Patrick, who was my supervisor there, was amazing. What Em has done with her fantastic videos, incredible. But I wanted to learn again and do that because it's important to make sure you keep yourself humble and keep yourself learning. Like, that's all I want to do, is I want to make sure that I'm still learning. And there's people out there that know so much more than you dingbat. This knows so much more than me, and that's the most exciting part of it all. That I hopefully get to learn from more cool people who just that's that's what excites me, team. Let's pull you in again. Don't do this. This is a bad habit that I am doing right now. Alright, 1:30. Longest stream I've ever done. Don't do this. I'm doing this quickly. This is a bad habit. Do not follow my habit here of, instead of replacing this with a 2-meter block, I'm just bringing this in. That is a bad habit. Do not do that. I'm just doing it quickly to rapid through this. So don't do that. Learn from my mistakes. Be better than me. I will close this off soon because I am getting very hungry. I'm sorry we've not done the whole thing, but I'm hoping what you're seeing from this is, like, I could have gone through and blocked all this out, and this will probably turn to multiple streams throughout the time. But, I'm trying to show that although we have the plan in, the most important thing is how the game feels, how that level feels. We have something nicer now, because it has, when we put the cover down, we're going to have a longer space here. When we turn this corner, we have 2 spots that we can come in and see, but enemies can be hidden around. I don't know why he's moving backwards. Can be hidden around the corner, gives them an opportunity, makes the room feel bigger. This is probably going to have to be brought out, as I said before, but we're okay with that. But that's something new that we're learning about. So although I haven't gotten as far as the structure, the reason is because we're trying to make this feel right, and that's the big and important thing here, is making sure that everything is feeling good, Okay, we're going to wrap this up here. I'm probably going to get a little bit further in my own time. To hear what, Ashura, mate, what? It's great to hear. Amelia's got, she's just a smart mind. I've met her once. I don't think she'll remember me, but, I met her once, and she's very nice woman overall, and just a smart level designer, so, so yeah, I am going to end this one here, and it's pretty embarrassing when you look at what I've made in an hour and a half. I've been more talking to you guys and showing you the other things. It's not just been making this. But yeah, I'm going to end things here because I'm going to go grab some lunch now. I just want to say thank you so much for joining me on the stream. I hope you have enjoyed it, and it's been great to have you all here. I will get a little bit further, but what I mean by that is I will come back and stream more. So what I might do is I might build the whole level, like the structural parts, and then we'll come back and we'll be adding cover to it there. So we'll do all those really cool things with it for it. For those of you who don't know, but a heads up, I'm sure most of you are aware, but next Thursday is the start of the level design weekend. And what I mean for that is where I will set you all, if you're looking, for example, Falcon Mate, if you're looking to have some extra work to do, then and to help build your portfolio, this is the time, mate. Because what we're going to do is I'm going to set you a task, and the announcement of, because we've mentioned Amelia on this already, but I'm going to set a task for you to create a small Last of Us themed level, and you're going to have 4 days to do that. You'll also be doing documentation as well, and then I will give you a review of this. Now, when I'm saying the level, you don't need to have it someone running around like this. Ideally, it would be better, but you're going to create a small level for that, and something that then I will give you feedback. You can choose to address it afterwards, but to have that, you know, to help build your portfolio and stuff. So if you are interested, do head on over to my patreon.com/level design lobby. Let me type that out here so you got a link for it. Here we go. If you join that and then become a $10 member, you will gain access to this level design weekend. So that way you can block something out. So yeah, it's going to be Thursday to end of Sunday is what the plan is, Watermelon, mate. You know, but if you want to submit on Monday evening, we can talk about that. It's fine. But yeah, you'll be able to do that if you join us. We'll get something. We've had some great examples from previous ones. I will then give you feedback on your work. So again, you can have more work that is out of uni as well to help you stand out and have some really cool experience. So if you do want to join, I would love to have you all be part of the Level Design Weekend. Head over to that link, the patreon.com, and join the $10 perk, and you'll be able to have that, and I will review your work personally. All right, everyone. I think that is going to end it for us. Like I said, I do hope that you have enjoyed this. I'm going to move a little bit further on with this. Maybe we'll do one maybe next week. I don't know, because of the Level Design Weekend. But regardless, there will be another one of this one for sure. Yeah. Oh, Falcon Mate, fantastic. You're already here then, mate. You know. Yeah, we'll be able to have all that cool stuff. All right, everyone. I will catch you all next time. Take care of yourselves. I hope you have enjoyed it. I've really enjoyed talking to all of you. It's been fantastic. It's nice to know, you know, what you're all playing, what you're all up to. And yeah, so thank you all very much, and I will catch you all next time. See you later.